Friday afternoon, Dale Winton, this is Radio 2, hosting for Steve Wright in the afternoon, and thrilled to be talking to my guest. And that's one Penn. I say one Penn because there's the other half, Penn and Teller, which is...
It's always one Penn. It's just sometimes we add Teller in. Yeah.
Now, see, Penn, the interesting thing is that when I arrived today, as you probably saw, outside the building, a good collection of people wanting autographs and photographs because everybody's aware that there are guests coming into this show. I'm not bestowing idle flattery. This is absolutely true. Since I've been doing this show this week, the fans... didn't want to know when Neo was coming in, didn't want to know when this... And several real hardened fans, when are Penn and Teller in? You have this incredible grip on the audience that they are loyal and...
They had pictures of me from last time we were in England 16 years ago, having me sign pictures from there. So I guess they've been waiting right in that same spot for 16 years, thinking he will return, he'll come back by here. No, they were very, very pleasant, very sweet, very nice.
Now, for anybody who's unaware of the act, you do have the chance to see the act. I will give you the dates and the venue a little later before the end of the interview. And there I was, sitting in my bath this morning thinking, are we talking illusionists? Are we talking magicians? Are we talking documentary makers with an edge on black comedy? Because it's a hard act to define. How do you see the act?
Well, you know, it's hard. When I first met Teller, I was still in high school, and Teller was doing magic as well as being a high school Latin and Greek teacher. And I hated magic. To me, magic was a greasy guy in a tux with a lot of birds. I mean, that was all magic was, and I had no interest at all. And I started a conversation with Teller way back then about how magic had built-in irony. Automatically, things were really one way when they were being done another, and the audience was aware of that the whole time. And that it was essentially intellectual, which was an insane thing to say, because I thought, like Jerry Seinfeld has said, all magic was, here's a quarter, now it's gone, you're a jerk, now it's back, you're an idiot, show's over. No content at all. And that conversation started. So I don't think I had any interest in magic outside of Teller. Right. Teller kind of brought me through it. And what I brought to Penn and Teller, I believe, was the strong hatred of magic, which I think has been an important thing to us. I mean, we do tricks, we are able to fool people, but it's all done with a kind of strong dislike for the magic tradition.
Which is interesting, because to really enjoy the magic, you've kind of got to ignore what you know to be reality.
Well, that's what they say. But I think what's interesting about what we're trying to do is, in theater all the time you have the willing suspension of disbelief. You say, okay, Shakespeare, we're on a boat. We'll give you that. We'll all pretend we're on a boat. Great. But in magic, you have the unwilling suspension of disbelief. You don't ever say, okay, I'll pretend you don't have something in that hand. You really don't think about it. And what's fascinating about magic to me, many magicians say, come along with me on this journey, use your imagination. I think that's the part of it that sucks. The part of it that's good is where you say, I'm going to lie to you, and then you do lie, but your senses go along without you being willing. I think it's the unwilling suspension of disbelief that's so fascinating about magic.
And that's the surprising thing about the success of the act, that people go, oh, go along with that. And they do. I mean, Las Vegas headlined us for a very long time now.
Yeah, 9 years in our own theater, in the theater named the Penn and Teller Theater, which is a very happy coincidence, because it would be so embarrassing to be in the David Copperfield Theater.
Well, now, there are those acts that take up residency in Las Vegas for many years and become very successul. Las Vegas has, of course, changed in recent years, where it's become less the big pop star, it's more the spectacular, the act, and the, like, Cirque du Soleil or whatever. But what I find unusual about Penn and Teller is you have the kudos and respect of those outside, but Letterman, for example, people like this, they love you. You are loved by the industry, which is not always the case. Las Vegas can be set aside.
Yeah, well, Vegas during the 60s, with the Rat Pack and so on, was the happening place. And then really for the 70s and 80s and part of the 90s, it was where people went to die. And, you know, you had impressionists doing George Burns impersonations. I mean, it was doing other people's acts. And people would come to Vegas in order to make fun of it. You know, they'd smoke cigars and they'd go have a steak and they'd go see a show that they really didn't think was good. And then, you know, when Blue Man Group came in and Cirque du Soleil, it started to change around, where there are actually shows in Vegas that people come to see. But the real change for us, and where no one's else is doing this, is every other show in Vegas goes into Vegas and stays set. That's the show they do. So you have shows that have been running there 15 years that have not changed a syllable, not a move. And we go there and deal with it much more like a band. I mean, in the 9 years we've been there full time, we've done 5.5 hours of material. There's no reason to change it. You know, everybody else stays the same. But we like writing stuff. And we're actually doing more new stuff in Vegas than we did in New York, which is unheard of.
The other thing that you do, which I'm going to come to in a moment, we're going to play a record, is the gullibility of the public, which you seize upon. And I was talking to you before the interview and saying this fabulous thing where you've got people to sign up to ban water.
Yeah.
Which is so clever.
Hydrogen dioxide, yeah.
I want to talk about that and things like that because it's so edgy. And I'm just getting the thumbs up, which means the record I really wanted to play. This was a funny conversation because unlike magic acts that never reveal the tricks, I'm going to reveal the trick. We discussed what record to play between the chats in the interview. And the producer said, I'm not going to play Abracadabra. I'm sick of hearing that.
I said no heart, no ELO.
Well, I thought... Well, the record exactly. The record I wanted to play, not only are you aware of, but you like, and I'm going to play it in a moment. As a desperate measure, in case we didn't have it, I said heart, and you went... No heart.
No heart, no.
Okay.
No, I mean, they were fine, but, you know, when you do an act that has magic, you hear heart, John Sebastian, ELO, you hear that enough. It was nice to have someone bring up Wilson Pickett.
Well, I'm going to play you. The track was called Mr. Magic Man. It's actually, if I had to choose records in my final top 10, this would be well up there. Here is Wilson Pickett for Penn, Mr. Magic Man.